Ready. It's my confidence juice.
While I am waiting for this to fully get moving, I'm going to go ahead and grab another chunk beer, whatever this is called. No Diggity. It's called No Diggity.
Can't believe your beer is called No Diggity.
I like the way you work it. No Diggity.
That's how we're going to open the show, is you singing that song.
Hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. No.
Okay. Try and edit this in post.
So in other words, yes, edit it in post, but we are good to go whenever you would like to bang, 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 get this thing started.
Welcome to the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate, brought to you by Fantasy Focused and the Original Hooters. I am Sam Holt, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Derek Tate. Tate, how are you this week?
I'm good. It sounded like you paused a little bit when you said, I am. Did you forget your name for a split second?
No, but a lot of people call me Sam, and for some reason, even to people like the Starbucks barista, I still introduce myself as like, oh, it's Samantha. And then when they call my name, I'm like, wait, nobody calls me Samantha, so I even forget sometimes.
It's okay. Somebody actually referred to me as a dropout from the William Shatner School of Overacting. So it's okay. We all have our moments, up and downs, as I would call them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was amazing. We won't even get into that.
Oh, come on. We should get into it eventually. But there's a lot of news that actually happened from last week to this week.
Yes, so there is plenty of football news. Yes, plenty of football news. As anyone who's not been living under a rock knows, there have been some moves. Mohamed Sanu and Emmanuel Sanders both have new homes. So I think our first debate... Wow, Ryan Levy just jumping right into the comments before I can even get started. Sam, don't let Derek trade with you. What did you do to Ryan?
I didn't do anything to Ryan. It's just unfortunate that we play in a lot of leagues together, and I pulled off. Again, this is something that we can start talking about, a lot of the news and notes that took place, but I think that this is something that needs to be debated because you were mentioning earlier that you're playing in a league right now, right, that has a veto clause. So the rest of the league can veto any trade that subsequent owners can try to make. So I personally am an advocate of not having that clause because it doesn't allow teams to be able to make moves because the rest of the league doesn't like or approve of the trade. Now, of course, there should be some sort of, grounds to make sure that there's no collusion or anything like that. Of course, we don't approve of anybody that's trying to make a move or anything like that where two owners are trying to say, well, hey, I'll throw you this player if you give me a cut of your winnings or something like that. That's absolutely should not be allowed. But
no shenanigans.
No shenanigans like that. But to reference what he's asking about or complaining about, he sounds like he's a whiny little baby right now. No offense. Right. I love you, Levy, but so there's a guy that's 2-5 in one of my leagues. He will remain nameless, and I'm 5-2. And so I'm in a position where I can take some chances. If I lose a game or two, I can live, right? So I have Terry McLaurin, who has been a top 15 wide receiver in standard formats this year. And he missed a game too.
Yeah. So it's even with missing a game.
Even with missing a game. I threw it out there to the Devontae Adams owner, who is 2-5. We do not know if Devontae Adams is going to play this week.
No, because he's got the turf toe.
And I'm playing against him. So if Adams doesn't play and he gets McLaurin from me, he's preventing me from playing him against himself. And if Adams doesn't play, then I can't play Adams in my lineup, which means I have to sit him on my bench. I understand that at face value, I totally understand that Devontae Adams is the more valuable asset long-term. But if he's 2-5 and he can't afford to lose another game or another 2 games, do you understand the logic behind the trade?
I understand why you see the logic, and why the guy doesn't want to lose one game. But fantasy football isn't just won over 1 week. Fantasy football is won over the course of a season. So you just won the trade for the season while he won the battle for the week.
But isn't he on a week-to-week basis at 2-5 already this season?
I mean, he is, but that's like just reaping the one plant that's having fruit on it from the guy's team. I mean, aside from this 1 week that you might lose to him just because of this one player that may or may not play. I mean, then okay, great. He wins this 1 week. Congratulations. You are now 3-5. The rest of the season, he's going to then continue to just stack up those losses.
But also McLaurin has been a top 20 receiver. Look, I understand it's on a Washington Redskins team, and it is a trash squad. But the one thing that has been consistent has been Terry McLaurin, and the only time that when he's been active that he's posted a dud was against San Francisco this past week, that has the second best pass defense in the NFL, along with the New England Patriots, who he played earlier this year, and still put up at least 50 yards receiving, right? And this past week he was playing in a monsoon.
Sure. Okay. Yes, but
I know you're rolling your eyes because you're trying to sell McLaurin over Davante Adams.
I am not going to try and make that sell. My thoughts on McLaurin are, if he is the one bright star on a team and they keep riding him, this poor guy is going to be hurt in the next 3 weeks just because he's the only asset. He's now the only person that all teams know to cover. So he is going to be absolutely slaughtered each game and continue to get dinged up. And now what you think is a star wide receiver, number one, sure. But he's just going to be a new beat up wide receiver one.
I'm not. Look, he's a professional football player, and he's
They all are. But
he's the number one on a professional football team.
Yeah, but that team has no leg to stand on. He is their only leg. He is pogo sticking across the field, trying to get touchdowns for a team that has absolutely no other way of getting touchdowns.
He's a one-legged man in an ass-kicking competition.
Yes.
He's in a bad spot.
Yeah, he brought a Swiss Army knife to a gunfight with AKs. Like, it's just not going to happen.
But the point, all right. So, but outside of this individual trade, are you an advocate of having a veto clause for the other owners in a league, or just leaving that strictly to the commissioner if he deems that there's some sort of collusion involved?
I do not believe in vetoes. I think that every team owner should be responsible for their team. However, I do believe that the commissioner should, if he sees a trade that he can deem collusion, then he can omit that trade. And that is a very obvious when it's an obvious one-sided trade. I mean, this one, it has to be wickedly obvious. This one, I mean, it's
you can understand the logic.
I can understand the logic. It's just, walking on that line, kind of gracefully, kind of half drunk, kind of like, I'm okay, I can still drive.
So it looks like they have a bourbon, like that drunk bourbon guy walking out on the side of the street, right out of the bar.
Yeah, it's just it's a real shaky trade there, Tater. It's like you probably shouldn't drive, but you're like, nah, I got this. It's fine. I'm just around the block.
This was also not a trade that I offered. This was the other.
Well, then he's just not smart.
Well, don't say anything. No. Here's the thing: is that he's desperate. Like, he's 2-5. If he's desperate, if he's desperate and he needs a win, and he doesn't want to have to wait on Davante Adams, because if he waits on Davante Adams, he's in trouble. So I get it. I get both sides of it. I understand that I'm the beneficiary. I've also been on the other side where I'm desperate. I have an injured star that isn't going to play. And if I try to hold on to him in a redraft format, I'm screwed. I'm basically dying a slow death.
Yeah,
I'd rather gamble. And yes, it makes a competitor in my league a little bit better, potentially long-term. And that's if Davante Adams gets healthy. By the way, turf toe is a nasty injury.
And it sounds fluffy and cute, but it ain't.
It's Levy, that's not nice. I see that in the comments. You don't name the person. That's rude. But anyway, point is, like, that's I have to agree with you in the fact that I hate when the league is formatted to the point where the entire league has a say on an impending trade. There can only be a stoppage or an intervention when there is clear collusion, because otherwise you're not allowing teams to be able to make their own moves, to be able to better their squad. Otherwise, I mean, that's bullshit. I hate that. I hate that.
No, it really sucks. And I'm in a work league right now where there is a veto feature, and it's causing all members to not even bother trading. Well, now it's a 10-team league, so the waivers actually still have some pretty good players in them, but it's also making people hold on to players on their bench that they wouldn't normally hold on to. It makes nobody want to trade. It just makes it so that league activity is just completely gone. It's dead. and the only talk there is just water cooler talk of like, oh, I saw you got so-and-so. Like, no, come on. The whole point of fantasy football is the camaraderie involved in trying to win and trying to put the best lineup forward each week. So to have the veto feature just causes people who are like your friend who's 2-5 just to like want to give up. Like in that league, we have so many players, so many teams, that are 3-4, that are at that middle of the road, that if they were to just make a couple moves, they could go up, but they're just giving up at this point. They're like, I don't care anymore. Like,
you never know what happens, right? If you get one win, because we know fantasy football is a lot about luck too. I mean, a lot about luck. And if you can get one win, and you get one win, and then God forbid you start wheeling and dealing all over the place, start selling high, buying low, whatever it is. Like, you shouldn't be prohibited to not be able to do that because you have a league that allows the other members of that league to say, no, I don't like that trade because it makes that team better. Or I don't agree with the value.
Yeah, and I don't even like the argument, well, it's a good competitive strategy. No, it's not a good strategy at all, because then it causes nobody to trade. It causes no activity. It causes no conversation. And you should be able to make moves as a league owner. The way it's designed is to pretend like you have your own football team. As a real owner, you can make trades. You can do things with different teams. Sure, maybe a trade might seem a little bit one-sided, but as long as it's not like a grossly one-sided one, like we said before, teams should be allowed to trade back and forth. That's the whole point of why fantasy football is fun. It's like you're pretending to be an NFL owner.
Like if you see something like Jonathan Hillman for Devontae Adams, that's one thing. Like,
well, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if it's egregiously obvious that something is amiss, then yes.
Sam Darnold for Tom Brady. No, I don't think so.
Right. I mean, you intervene. But outside of that, it really, like you said, it's a league killer. It's a league killer. It's like, I don't know the best. I'm not Bucks. I don't think of the best analogies right off the top of the dome.
No. Allow Bucks to do Bucks things. We'll keep our in our lane.
Yeah. You're right. I'm gonna stay.
Since we've been talking about trades, we do have a question from Ryan B. Trade talk. Ingram, Eckler, Ingram, or Keenan or Henry has Andrews, Edmonds, Royce Freeman, Lindsey though. PPR. So I guess.
Holy hell. Like Ingram, Eckler, back to Ingram, or Keenan, Henry, like, good Lord, has Andrews, Edmonds, Royce Freeman. All right. So, I mean, this is, a trade. I mean, is this a 4-player
trade? I'm guessing the first 3 names are the one side of the trade, and the other side is Keenan or Henry, because there's 2 tight ends in this.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking the top side. I mean, I want
I'm taking
Ingram, Eckler, Ingram, or Keenan or Henry or whatever. I'm taking that side. If I'm not on the other side, I want nothing to do with Andrews, Edmonds, Royce Freeman, Lindsey, or anything like that. Yeah.
No, I'm in agreement, especially with PPR. I mean,
Eckler's still a PPR stud.
He is, and he's still going to be a factor in the passing game. I mean, sure, the carries are going to even out, but that's because Eckler can't keep up with yards after carry the way that Melvin Gordon can normally. But this year, Gordon's even been behind on that. So the Chargers running game.
You've only been in Los Angeles for 3 years, Sam. It's fine.
I even went to a game. That's in LA.
You did.
I can't even get it right. Okay, wait. So Ryan is clarifying for us on this trade. The trade is Ingram, Eckler, Ingram for Keenan and Henry. I don't want Keenan and Henry more than I'd rather have Ingram, Eckler, and Ingram.
I mean, you're essentially taking 2 top 20 running backs and turning them into Keenan Allen and.
Wait, so you would be getting these 3. Ryan is saying he would be getting those 3. Yeah, do that trade. Give up Keenan and Henry for the other side. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Then
Yes. Absolutely. Ryan, do that trade. Yes, do that trade.
Okay, now we're clear. We got it.
Thank you for the clarity, sir. But yes, I would do that trade because of the players in that, I would much rather have Ingram, Eckler, and Ingram, which I actually never saw that closeness in spelling until just now.
Are you fully running the board right now? I'm just asking because, Will Jenkins decided to say, "What's up, Sam?" And
I replied back in the comments. I didn't miss Will.
Come on, get back in there. I mean, I'm monitoring the board as you're doing it right now.
I am the captain.
Oh, my bad. There's a mutiny on hand.
Let me drive. Okay. Trade talks aside, please go ahead, guys, and give us all your week 8 questions. Any trade talk, anything you guys want to ask us, please put it in the comments. We will answer it live. let's just get back to some of the trades that happened in the league. So back to Mohamed Sanu and Emmanuel Sanders, kind of the news of yesterday and today. Who do you think had the better landing spot between Sanu and Sanders?
So I'm going to go ahead and say Emmanuel Sanders, because this team is devoid of an outside option, a consistent outside option.
Mm-hmm.
It's no disrespect to the likes of Dante Pettis, Deebo Samuel, Marquise Goodwin, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the fact that Emmanuel Sanders is by far the only proven veteran option that this team has, with the exception of George Kittle at this point, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say Emmanuel Sanders' value just took a slight bump up. I mean, you can say what you want. I know he doesn't have Tom Brady throwing him the football, and Mohamed Sanu does. And I know that the Patriots just lost Josh Gordon, or decided to go ahead and part ways with Josh Gordon. I don't really know. Forgive me if I can't dissect that.
We can get into that next, because that's a whole other thing.
Correct. But, I mean, the Patriots, tell me, when's the last time you've trusted an individual Patriots pass catcher not named Julian Edelman or Rob Gronkowski over the last 5 seasons? Other than that, they are completely hit or miss. They are completely volatile, just like their running backs generally are, with the exception of maybe James White, who continues to give you a PPR floor on a weekly basis. So for me, it's easily Emmanuel Sanders, who has more value with his move to his new team.
Sure. I can definitely see that. No, I get it. I understand this. And I understand that Mohamed Sanu's move to the Patriots. I mean, many said a bunch of awesome analogies as to the trade up. Basically, a lot of people saying Sanu now has an opportunity to get a ring now that he's with the Patriots. Sure.
And what, Sanders doesn't?
No.
They're undefeated over there. And they're
undefeated.
Team in football, undefeated.
Calm down. It's my turn. Calm down. I'm not done. There's a lot that's what people say. I didn't say that. People are saying that. People say what they want when stuff like this happens. It's crazy.
It ruffled my feathers.
Well, clearly, it ruffled your feathers underneath your hat, which we know is covering
look, yeah, not good today. Not good.
But I do like the Sanu move, just as the wide receivers too. I like it. I think it's going to fit well. I know that now Josh Gordon is not a factor. It's not the perfect move. Of course, Sanders is now going to likely be the number one with the 49ers. I can totally see that. And I understand that Sanu is going to be the 2 there. He's also going on to a Patriots team that is one of the league leaders in yards, but he's coming away from a team that was the number 1 in pass yards and opportunities and catches. So it is a slight downgrade for him, but I think that I kind of am leaning towards the Sanu pick. I mean, maybe it's because where he's at in leagues, I feel like you could trade for him still. I don't think that people are likely to trade away Sanders. I think that they're both still flex PPR options to me. And I know that Sanders is the number 1, but I think at where they sit on your bench and on your roster, they're both sitting at that PPR flex spot. Week to week, based on matchup, I'm going to kind of lean with Mohamed Sanu.
Well, they don't really have an identity over there in San Francisco, and that's why I'm leaning toward. I mean, the identity, forgive me, not as a team. They do have a team identity, and that is to run the football and to play
and be good at defense.
Exactly. No, I mean, and they've got that down pat, 100%. And Kyle Shanahan is one of the best play callers in all of professional football, if not the absolute best. That's certainly debatable. But traditionally, in those Shanahan-type offenses, wide receivers tend to be productive as far as fantasy purposes go. And right now, the 49ers do not have one. So if you're telling me that Sanders is going to be in pretty much every 2 wide receiver set moving forward for the San Francisco 49ers, who are able to run the football and have a solid play action game to go along with it, then I feel like Sanders is going to see more consistent volume on a weekly basis than the likes of Mohamed Sanu, who I feel like is just going to be another cog in this New England Patriots passing attack. I mean, hell, who would you say is more gifted physically, Josh Gordon or Mohamed Sanu?
Well, Josh Gordon's not a factor now.
But I'm saying we did.
Oh, sure. Yeah. He's a better athlete.
Season last year for the most part. And then even for the first 5 weeks of this season, we saw Josh Gordon as really the number, like the 1B to Julian Edelman's 1A in this offense with no Rob Gronkowski. And it really didn't yield that many great fantasy games. So why would I feel confident that a less physically gifted Mohamed Sanu is going to be any more fantasy productive than the likes of Josh Gordon?
Sure. I think actually what evens both of them out is the fact that both teams have such good defenses. I mean, they don't need to necessarily score as much on offense because the defense is scoring for them.
They're like the number 1 and number 2 defenses, respectively, in the NFL.
Yeah. So if that weren't the case, I think it'd be even more exciting for the Patriots when it was one of their years when they didn't have one of the best defenses, but the offense isn't having that much time on the field because they don't necessarily need to. I mean, they're performing really well, don't get me wrong, and they're very well rested because they have enough time to sit down, which is great, but I think the case can be said for both. So I don't think people should see both of these moves and think immediate number 1 wide receivers for each because they're both.
Do we want to have a friendly fantasy bet of Mohamed Sanu or Emmanuel Sanders having who scores more in a PPR format throughout the rest of the year? Are you willing to put any sort of wager on that whatsoever?
Yeah, I'll put a wager on that.
Oh, what do you want to wager? I'm so down like Charlie Brown. Give me all the Emmanuel Sanders.
Let's just bring it back to our sponsors and say a plate of wingies and a pitcher of beer.
Oh, you're on.
Put it on the board. All right, rest of the season, I say Mohamed Sanu has more fantasy PPR points than Emmanuel Sanders.
Okay. All right. From this point on, absolutely.
Just point on.
So okay. Point being now, moving forward, we already kind of talked about that. Now, Kerryon Johnson also got put on IR, had a season-ending injury, knee surgery to end his season in 2019 campaign, which I'm really sad about this because Kerryon, they let go of CJ Anderson. They really started to lean on him as their lead running back. I know Ty Johnson was involved a little bit here and there, but mostly it was Kerryon Johnson's backfield. And now he's out of the picture, and he may come back very late in the season, but more than likely he's done for the year. So now on their roster currently, it's Ty Johnson, J.D. McKissick, Trey Carson, and if I'm not, there's one more tailback that is slipping my mind. Oh, Paul Perkins.
How can you forget Paul Perkins?
My apologies about forgetting Paul Perkins. He's been super fantasy relevant ever since he got drafted by the New York Giants once upon a time. But point is, what are your feelings about this entire backfield? I mean, do you even feel confident starting the likes of if you're in a pinch, you'll start.
If you're in a pinch and you're desperate,
Ty Johnson, right?
I'll start Ty Johnson, and I think mostly that's because in the off season and in camps, everyone was talking about the excitement behind Ty Johnson. The team really believes in this guy, and so just knowing how the team feels and how the coaches feel about this kid and wanting to give him a chance, this is his opportunity. Whether or not he steps up to the plate this week, we'll find out. I think this week, if he does or doesn't perform, we'll see if they end up signing another running back next week, and then his time is over. I mean, they've been working out other players, and there's entirely a chance they could sign someone, make a trade for someone. I've heard some people say Kenyon Drake, but I don't think that Kenyon Drake fixes anyone's problems. So there are options for the Lions. I like the idea of this rookie coming in and really stepping up and being able to be that person that they need in the backfield.
It would make more sense to trade for Kenyon Drake if the Lions were still contenders. They've just lost 3 straight. They're 2-3-1 in a very NFC North.
Exactly. And we have a comment on this subject from Rai123ism. McKissick any good?
McKissick's a very good player in space.
In outer space?
No, not in outer space. In space in the National Football League.
Oh, like on the field?
Yeah, like on the field.
Okay.
Correct, yes.
To be specific.
So McKissick, I like his quick twitch ability. I like his quickness, his lateral agility. I think he's a very good pass catcher. I liked what he did in college. And even a little bit of time that he spent there in Seattle, he did some nice things. But I don't know if I would call him – it depends on what your definition of good is. He's an NFL player. Of course he's good. But to me, I don't know if I feel like he's going to all of a sudden become Theo Riddick with Ty Johnson, who does a lot of the same things that J.D. McKissick does well. Yeah. So it sucks that they have similar skill sets. That's why I'm actually a little bit higher on picking up somebody like Trey Carson, who is more of a bruiser between the tackles, power back, especially with somebody like Matt Patricia, who likes to give his specific running backs individual roles, coming from that kind of New England running back mindset. So
are we in agreement, though, that if you had to start any of them
this week? Ty Johnson's the only guy.
Ty Johnson, for sure.
Yeah, Ty Johnson's the only guy I'm starting.
We got a couple more questions. Let me throw this one up here from Danny Messi. Thank you for your patience. Are you guys concerned about David Johnson rest of the season? Is he still a top 6 running back in full PPR?
Given his injuries and what we just saw Chase Edmonds do, which, by the way, this isn't the first time that Chase Edmonds has looked good when given opportunities. Pretty much this guy has been, I mean, even behind a bad offensive line there in Arizona, every time I've ever seen Chase Edmonds, I've come away pretty impressed. Do I think he's still a top 6 running back in PPR? No, I don't. I think he's very much matchup based because that offensive line is not very good. I'm not trying to talk, disrespectfully about them, but the point is, I don't think that they're a very good running football team, even though this week against the New York Giants and what was an absolute terrible game weather condition wise, I think it's an aberration. It's an outlier performance, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that David Johnson is a top 6 running back option anymore, given that now I think we're going to see a lot more of Chase Edmonds after his performance.
Not only are we going to see a lot more Chase Edmonds, but just what the Cardinals have been doing and the moves they're making this week tells us that David Johnson is not healthy.
Zenner signed.
They also signed Zach Zenner. What? Who? Why? Clearly,
don't talk ill about Zach Zenner. Okay,
I mean, he's got 2 Z's in his name, so that's cool. But it's Zippy. But
you just call the guy Zippy.
He's Zippy. But that aside, like just the moves the organization is making tells you more is happening with this injury to David Johnson than they're letting on. Clearly more than they let on going into this Sunday. A lot of people talking about that move. Well, we wanted to see how he would do. He played 3 snaps, 1 carry, then came off the field.
He was only going to be used in emergency situations.
Why put him out there in the first place?
Correct. That makes no sense. You're talking out of your ass. Makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely no sense. And that is an entire rant that I think that all of Twitter has just jumped on. And, Arizona Cardinals Twitter handle being like, well, you should have started Chase Edmonds. None of us were going to start Chase Edmonds because you told us David Johnson wasn't
Don't you dare troll us, Arizona Cardinals Twitter. That's garbage. Bullshit.
We play this game because we love this game. Don't disrespect this game. Not cool.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Fantasy owners are people too.
They are. All right. Well, before we get too heated on the Cardinals and how mad we are about them, more questions. Will Jenkins, thank you so much for your questions and for following us. We appreciate you so.
Willie.
Okay. Flex, full PPR. Tevin Coleman, Carlos Hyde, Sony Michel, Ty Johnson, just talking about him, or Keenan Allen.
So in a full point PPR, I'm assuming we have to pick one of these options, which
yes.
That's a little.
They had 2 flex positions, which would be weird.
That's kind of tricky to nail it down to one.
It's our job.
I want to say Keenan Allen in a full point PPR, as much as all the running backs are decent options. I mean, Coleman, Hyde, Michelle, and even Ty Johnson now with the Kerryon Johnson news are all viable options. But Keenan Allen in a full point PPR, I mean, this is a game that, and Keenan Allen's playing against the Chicago Bears. This is going to be a tough matchup. But the Bears seem out of sorts right now, and so do the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But I still trust in Keenan Allen and what I expect his floor to be this given week. Now, I mean, I really am sad because I told a lot of people to start Tevin Coleman this past week. But unfortunately, they played in what was a monsoon. They're in Washington. It was rainy all day, and it just made both offenses completely inefficient. 9 points, all field goals scored in the game. So, if you want to go with one of the running backs, certainly they're going to see their touches. But for me, it's Keenan Allen because I just still feel like he's a top 15 wide receiver, especially in full point PPR formats.
Sure. For me, it's going to be Sony Michel just because of the matchup against the Browns. The Browns are allowing over 100 yards per game to tailbacks. So I think that just there. You got a higher floor, better chance. Yeah. I would roll with Sony Michel for me. Hope we answered your question. Well, we love you.
No, we did answer it. We just hope we're right.
We did. And, he's going to go with my pick. Just saying. Maddie Voles, thank you for joining us again.
Maddie, what up, buddy?
Love Maddie. Who do you trust as a quarterback flyer this week? I have Bridgewater lined up to go with talks of Breeze maybe coming back. He is going to be a game time decision. Do you trust someone like Tannehill versus Tampa?
I mean, yes, the Bucs are giving up a ton of yards per game through the air. They really are. And I thought Tannehill showed more moxie in his first NFL start as a Tennessee Titan than I've seen throughout most of the Marcus Mariota era there in Tennessee. And by the way, I believe that the Tennessee Titans have a lot of high quality pass catching options in Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, and even Adam Humphries working the slot. And you can say what you want about Delaney Walker. I don't know if he's going to play. I know he's questionable heading into the week, but also Jonnu Smith. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really struggling on the back end. Like they're giving, Vernon Hargraves looks like a complete bust as a first round pick.
Does that hurt you as a fan?
It hurts. There's a lot of things that hurt my soul right now as a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan.
Not to put salt in the wound, but it's not been good goings for a bit. So
Hargraves, only player remaining from that draft class on the football team. And by the way, that was only 4 years ago. So it hasn't even been that damn long. But the point is that if you're looking for a good matchup, and Tannehill, who I think they have good man beaters, like man-to-man coverage, which Todd Bowles like to dial up a lot of blitzes and goes man-to-man on the back end. And if that Titans offensive line, which is a decent unit up front, can hold up and pick up those blitzes, and Tannehill can find Corey Davis or A.J. Brown, then yeah, it could be a pretty damn good day. Especially if the Buccaneers get it going on the offensive side of the football, they are capable of putting up some high point performances as well on the offensive side. So it could be a little bit higher scoring than people think.
Yeah. Definitely watch, the inactives right before the game, because between the two, I would still pick Bridgewater, but
if Breeze comes back. But I do like what Tate said about just how horrible Tampa has been and your likelihood for some good fantasy points. We're horrible talking about my team now. I tell you
what. You said that about your team.
I did. It's like if somebody talks crap about your family. Like, I could talk shit about them, but you're not allowed to talk shit about them.
I guess that makes sense.
I'm kidding. It doesn't really make
sense. I guess that makes sense. All right, back to our debates. Okay, so we were talking about Kerryon Johnson and who we prefer in the backfield there. But let's jump back a little bit to the Patriots and what's going on with Josh Gordon. They said that he was being placed on IR. Josh Gordon replied to that on Instagram with a thinking emoji and an interesting. Like, he didn't know he was hurt and he didn't know he was going to be placed on IR. So I don't think this is the last we've heard of him. There's been some talk of he had a training session today where he was running like a bat out of hell on a treadmill. So his knee seems fine. I predict they're probably going to release him tomorrow, and he will probably end up signing with another team, before the weekend or by next week?
Yeah, really, really, really odd stuff.
Weird. This poor guy has gone through so much in his life. And if he is healthy and they're doing this to him, that sucks. It sucks if he had a setback that they're not releasing, because he has had a long history of, shenanigans, for lack of a better word.
Well, the point being is that, Josh Gordon, right? The Patriots held on to him last year. They didn't straight release him. They held on to him last year, despite getting again suspended due to substance abuse issues. So I don't want to throw shade at the Patriots organization because they stuck with this guy despite his long list of bad issues when it comes to substance abuse. So I don't want to throw too much shade at them. But if they're playing a little bit shady with him now that he got a little bit of a knee injury in a couple weeks ago, this guy's from everything that they said about him, it seemed like he was the consummate professional while in the building and while playing. So why would you give up on him this quickly if he's 100% ready to go? There may be going a little bit more going on there than we really know. So I don't want to, I can't speak to something that I don't fully understand. However, if Josh Gordon decides to go somewhere else to play some football, it starts making me think, what team could use him?
Yeah.
So I agree. If somebody reacts or overreacts to this news and they drop Josh Gordon in a season-long league, I'm willing to go and pick him up and stash him on my bench just to see if the Patriots do release him and he winds up somewhere else. It just sucks because, I mean, and here's the thing, Sam, is that I still believe that Josh Gordon can be a productive receiver. I think that it's a bad match in New England because Brady is not somebody that's pushing the ball down the field very often.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're just winding him up to let him go and then not really see any production out of him. What team would you like to see him with? I mean, there's a lot of already loaded teams at wide receiver. Throwing out some teams there, the Broncos, the Cowboys, Falcons. I mean, maybe the Packers. What with Devontae Adams dealing with this?
Well, any team that has a quarterback that can push the ball down the field makes me feel like they could possibly use him. The Seattle Seahawks come to mind. Russell Wilson throws one of the best deep balls in the NFL. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I like DK Metcalf, and I don't want to stunt the growth of their second-round pick. And I think that DK Metcalf has done some nice things this year. But the way that Russell Wilson's playing which is like at an MVP type level, if you give him a quality option that you're not having to wait for him to try to learn the ins and outs of being a wide receiver in the NFL, I think that the Seahawks make a lot of sense. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, Alshon Jeffrey doesn't look like the same player anymore. I know that Deshaun Jackson has been out since pretty much week 2 of the NFL season, but Carson Wentz, that man can let it rip down the field. He's a guy that down the field, I think that could fit well with Josh Gordon. And same thing, you already mentioned the Green Bay Packers. The Packers with Aaron Rodgers, if you put him on the other side of Devontae Adams, I mean, don't be wrong, MVS has done some nice things, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but really this has been his first week against the Oakland Raiders secondary that he really had a nice stat line to speak of. If you put Devontae Adams out there with Josh Gordon with a running game, you can do some nice things with play action with Josh Gordon and Devontae Adams when healthy. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, ultimately we want to see someone that is working really hard at being the best athlete they can be at this profession succeed. And it would suck to see him just go by the wayside just simply because, the Patriots want to make other moves. Like, that sucks, but hopefully he does find a landing spot. If the case is that he is not actually injured, he is actually healthy and he's actually ready to play and be that guy.
Abuse issues.
No, hopefully not. And I mean, if that happens to be it, then kudos to the Patriots for not releasing all of that and making that a bigger media circus than it needs to be. Hopefully he is just healthy and he just gets to play football because he's a tremendous athlete. I mean, aside from that, there's just been a lot of, moves, talk. I mean, Breeze really talking about like he's going to return versus the Cardinals. I mean, he sprained his thumb and wasn't able to hold the ball. I kind of feel like the Saints should, because Bridgewater's doing really well, should allow him to rest one more week before they bring him back.
Well, they even have a bye week the following week. So
why push it?
Well, no, I'd have to. I mean, this is the situation where I'm going to have to 100% agree with you. I don't want. Look, Drew Brees is part of their Super Bowl plans. I understand that if Brees is healthy, he wants to play. But you can't tell me that if he's borderline ready to play and just starting to practice and just starting to paw around with starting to get back into the swing of things, don't put him back out there this week. Teddy Bridgewater is 5-0 as a starter. Let him continue to run the offense, and then let Breeze take this week, next week, and basically have 20 more days of rest.
Absolutely.
Until he has to play another professional football game.
Yeah.
Let him have another 20 days of rest. It's damn near a month. Give him another month off and move on.
Yeah. I mean, off of this, Will Jenkins throws us another question. Thanks, Will. Teddy Bridgewater or Josh Allen this week? Who would you rather?
Oh, Josh Allen. I mean,
Josh Allen.
I mean, I know he struggled, not struggled, but they fell behind to the Miami Dolphins.
Not a good look.
Which makes me go, like, what do we think about Teddy? Or not Teddy, Josh
Allen.
But I still believe that Josh Allen, his rushing floor gives you gives you the fantasy feel goods. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's got that Philadelphia secondary that he's going to be playing against, which Philadelphia secondary is giving up like the 26th most yards per game in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice matchup. I understand that the Eagles are probably in like a must-win type of game. They're 3-4 right now, but it's still a terrible secondary. So I like the matchup that you get with Josh Allen.
Yeah, I definitely like that matchup. But, Bridgewater's got a good matchup too. If he gets the start, which I kind of hope he does, like we just said, we hope Breeze gets a little bit more rest time. The Cardinals have allowed the 4th highest quarterback points in fantasy per game.
They have.
An average of 26.8. So that's pretty good for
Peterson is back now. He wasn't there the first 4 weeks of the NFL season, and that guy has an impact on who you're trying. That guy's going to be locked up with Michael Thomas the entire game.
Sure, but then that doesn't mean that he doesn't have other weapons. There's plenty of other guys they can throw to on the Saints.
If they get back Alvin Kamara, yes. I mean, but they didn't have Jared Cook. They beat the Bears. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater's been playing great football. I'm not talking shit about Teddy Bridgewater. That guy's been playing damn good football.
He's been playing good football. I think the floor is really good with Bridgewater. Between the two, I'm going Bridgewater. You're going Allen. But they both have good matchups.
We can agree to disagree.
Maddie Bulls with another question for us. What are you guys doing with Damian Williams? His yards per carry this season have been putrid. Is there any possibility for a turnaround? Stash him or cut bait? I mean,
I'm covering my face with both hands for a reason. Because Damian Williams has been an asshole to my entire fantasy predictions this entire fantasy season. Damn it.
So this question is completely directed at you then. Are you cutting him or are you stashing him?
You got to stash him. You got to stash him just because
we don't have the handcuff potential.
Hold on. We don't know what this offense is going to look like with Matt Moore under center for the next 2 to 5 weeks, right? I mean,
sure.
We have to see if they're going to go to a run-heavy type of offense. I mean, it's easy to go ahead and overlook the running backs when you have Patrick Mahomes. And
absolutely.
I'm Andy Reid. I'm a play caller. Hey, do I trust the likes of Damian Williams, LaShawn McCoy, or Darrell Williams or whatever? Or would I rather drop back, pass, and let Patrick Mahomes do his thing? It's easy. I let Patrick Mahomes do his thing. But now you don't have him. I think he's going to be gone for at least – if the Chiefs were smart.
If they were smart. According to reports, Mahomes practiced today. Now, we don't know if it was a full practice.
Stupid. That is so stupid.
I mean, it's not the best move. I mean, not only did he dislocate his kneecap and, best case scenario, he didn't have any ligament damage according to the MRI, but he also was dealing with a high ankle sprain.
Right.
So why not just give him time off?
Dude,
don't tear your hair out, Tate. You need that for TV.
No. I know. I don't have much hair to lose. But you have look, the Kansas City Chiefs, right? We're probably in agreement that through the first 7 weeks of the season, the only team I could see threatening the New England Patriots in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs with a healthy Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, he has to be healthy. It's the smart move to just save him.
Get him healthy. It would be one thing if you were under 500 right now at this point in the season, and the Los Angeles Chargers were absolutely crushing life at 6-1 or 5-2 or something like that. Guess what? The second team that is in second place in the AFC East, my apologies, is the Oakland Raiders. You're not threatened by the Oakland Raiders.
No.
You're
sitting at 5-2. You're comfortable. I mean, I think they've got some pretty good matchups coming up. they just need to tread water, and they're going to do that best just by letting their franchise quarterback get healthy.
And they've still got plenty of talent on the offensive side of the football. And I mean, I'm not saying Matt Moore is a franchise quarterback, but he's not a scrub.
No, he's a professional quarterback. He knows how to manage the ball. That's what he's paid to do. So, Matt, I think to answer your question, I think we would both stash him, as we do not know how Matt Moore is going to
stash. Wait and see what happens. Just wait and see what happens.
Wait and see. It'll be all right.
Yeah, it's been a disappointment. I agree.
We don't like it when people disappoint us. No, we don't. Nick Bird has a question for us. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your question.
My father said I'm a disappointment. Out of the womb.
Oh my God. Therapy aside.
Because my hair looks like crap. Anyway, continue.
Let's get to Nick's question. I need a running back 2 and a flex out of these full point PPR. Marlon Mack, Chase Edmonds, Ty Johnson, Devin Singletary. I'm literally staying afloat on the waiver wire. Good for you for at least being the first one to pick up the guys. That's huge. In my league, the only guy that was available was Ty Johnson, and I didn't even get him. Sucks. Okay, so you need a running back 2 and a flex out of these options. Tate full point PPR. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with, what I saw from Chase Edmonds last week, it's hard to sit him right now, right? I guess you got to keep an eye on David Johnson. Marlon Mack in a winning effort, and I know that it was an ugly week against the Houston Texans because they held 44 yards on 18 carries. But the point is he still saw 18 carries. Marlon Mack is a running back 1. He's getting the volume of a running back 1. My apologies. Maybe not fantasy-wise, production-wise. He's a little hit or miss. He's up and down. I get that. But you're still getting the volume you want from Marlon Mack. So Marlon Mack, definitely. And the other 3 are tricky. Devin Singletary still only saw 7 carries, 7 touches total. He didn't even catch a pass in the passing game against the Miami Dolphins. This guy didn't produce against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, that's just sad.
It sucks.
If you're gonna have a good matchup, it's gonna be against Miami Dolphins. It's what everyone's been saying, and it's been coming true to fruition. Unfortunately, the Bills seem to have bucked that trend.
Yeah, I'm personally, I'm going to stay away from Devin Singletary this week. So for me, it's between Chase Edmonds and Ty Johnson. And in that scenario, I'm going to go with the guy that just had a monster game in Chase Edmonds. I'm not saying the matchup is necessarily the best, but I am still going to go with Chase Edmonds. He looked great.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same people as you, Marlon Mack and Chase Edmonds. He did just have a monster game. They did just sign a bunch of randoms to the team. He's the only one that's most familiar with the playbook. So I think that he's going to be the guy that you have to start there at flex. Thank you for joining in on that with that question. And also thank you for this one, Nick. Sam, are you a bodybuilder? I don't know. No, I did 2 fitness competitions last year. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. And maybe someday.
I don't know. Maybe once upon a time.
I
could have competed once.
That only looks semi good because it looks like you shop at Baby Gap.
Oh,
what? Shots fired.
Come on, it had a little bit of definition. It had a little bit of definition. That's all I wanted. I'm not saying grow up. Anyway, I have had Blaine Wheeler, giving us some comments here from he says he's drunk painting at the current moment. There's that comment. And then he's also asking to take my hat off. Look, man, I'm not taking the hat off right now. The hair looks like shit. So I'm going to go ahead and.
It's funny that people are in the comments asking you to take it off.
It is funny, but it's also, no one else has commented saying yet that I look like a bodybuilder, which
this is true.
Is the case. But look, so it is something where we've had a good conversation about. There's been a lot of movement this week, and I know that the NFL trade deadline is on October 29th. Mm-hmm. One other name I want people to keep an eye on for trade rumors and stuff of that nature: AJ Green. AJ Green, I feel as if was supposed to be ready to play some football. He's been taking place in individual drills. I just want to say if you're taking a listen to this podcast right now, and you can get someone that is frustrated with AJ Green because they likely haven't dropped him, throw out a trade throw out a trade offer for AJ Green and see if you can stash him on your bench. That's the only thing I want to throw out there right now as far as some NFL trade deadline wheeling and dealing.
Gotcha.
The kiss stealing. Woo! Wheeling and dealing. Son of a gun. And I just can't keep these alligators down.
Oh my gosh. I love the comments here, guys. Thanks for that, Nick. Sam, keep firing. I will. And
keep firing away. Trust me.
Will Jenkins with another awesome question for us. Half-point PPR. Sanu, Sean McCoy, John Brown, or Sony Michel?
Oh, John Brown. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Michel is still the leading ball carrier for the New England Patriots, so you can definitely make a case for that. But John Brown is playing against a sorry-ass secondary in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, it's John Brown. It's tough to go against Sony Michel though.
I'm gonna keep with Sony Michel. I think he's gonna have a great week. So that's gonna be my pick between those four. I gotta just stick with Sony Michel. Just the volume, the consistency the game he just had. I'm gonna stick with Sony Michel as my pick. Are you
a Sony or Xbox player?
I don't have either.
Nintendo Switch type weirdo.
I have played Nintendo Switch.
I played the Legend of Zelda.
I mean, for my draft weekend this season, we all got wicked distracted playing Mario Kart on the Switch, and that was a lot of fun. But
it's still the bomb.
The controller is like so small. I kept like, I don't know if it's just because I'm a graphic designer, so I'm always on the computer, but I was getting carpal tunnel like crazy trying to play the Switch and just going like this with the little thing.
Who was the character you picked, more importantly?
Yoshi, always Yoshi.
It's always Yoshi.
It's always Yoshi. And it's awesome that you can pick a different color every time. I go with blue Yoshi. It's always blue Yoshi.
So, okay, I'm an Xbox guy. I was going to challenge you to play some Madden on
you could challenge me and you'd win because I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, it's okay. We all fail at life sometimes.
I mean, I think... Yeah, I guess if you had to put that as like a life challenge, I'd fail that category. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to learn. I'll learn. All right, Nick.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to throw this up there real quick. I mean, I saw the comments. I had to jump back in there. Thoughts on Josh Gordon? From what I've heard, he thinks he's actually close to healthy despite the IR designation. So we were kind of mentioning that before, Nick, that if the Patriots, I would still hold, if you own Josh Gordon, hold on to him. If someone dropped him, pick him up and stash him on. If you have injury reserve in your league, put him in that IR spot. If not, he's probably still worth a stash. Josh Gordon, to me, when I watch him play, he still looks like a competent wide receiver, if not a physically gifted freak I'm not saying that he has that top end speed that I saw from him in 2012 when he torched the league back with the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if he has that top speed anymore, but he's still a big, stocky wide receiver that is still a massive headache to deal with for opposing cornerbacks. So if he's available in my league, I'm picking up and I'm stashing him. And same thing, if I own him, I'm not dropping him yet.
Yeah, if you own him, you're not dropping him. I hope he gets picked up by some team. I really do. I want to see this guy succeed.
If he's a free agent, he will.
Yeah, if he's a free agent, he will. There are some reports, Nick. I think you're going to see some news drop tomorrow that's going to give us some more clarity on the situation with Josh Gordon, that this is not over yet. More to come on Josh Gordon, I'm sure. One thing that we didn't discuss was Kareem Hunt and his suspension. Isn't he done with that now? And he's back for us?
It's close.
He's pretty damn close, right? He practiced with the Browns on Monday for the first time.
He had an 8-week suspension, so the Browns had a bye week, so he should be available in week 9 if my math is correct. So
math is hard. I'm not really good at it.
Well, point is, he should be, or at least Wait, is it? Neither am I, apparently, because if he misses the first 8 weeks, if all 8 games are played.
Not eligible to join until week 10.
Week 10, that's what I thought.
Just double check.
Yep.
But he is going to be coming back, and I think it's something we should talk about because he is now being allowed to practice.
Well, rub-a-dub-dub, do you give the ball to Nick Chubb anymore once Kareem Hunt is back? Yeah, don't roll your eyes. You want to come up with a pun that's better than that?
No.
Nick, like the old Nickelodeon thing, the old Nickelodeon something.
You're just full of them. I'm just gonna let you keep rolling them out there.
No, I don't want to. Like, jump in. Come on, the water's warm.
No, the only joke I got about Chubb is not an appropriate one. So let's just roll forward.
So what
on the Kareem Hunt?
What about Kareem Hunt though? I mean, the guy led the league in rushing his rookie season and was pretty much on pace to do it until he got suspended, kicked off the team, released, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, until he went and did the thing that he did, and now
he kicked a woman.
He tackled a woman in a hotel into like an elevator and just launched this poor broad into a wall. Poor thing,
he kicked her in like the lobby. He didn't what happened, like Ray Rice was the guy that was in the elevator.
No, like he was near the elevators, which is where
he kicked her. Like she was on the ground and he booted her.
No, he tackled her and then he kicked her. It was both.
What a dipshit. Point is, bad.
Not awesome.
Not good.
And now he's back. But what impact do we see on him going into the week? I mean, he's going to be practicing, so he's going to be getting familiar with the offense. Does he eat into Nick Chubb's carries, into his opportunities? It's hard to not imagine him not. He was signed.
I mean, he's familiar with the GM Dorsey that signed him, familiar with his days back in Kansas City, and clearly the guy has talent. I mean, if he didn't have talent, you wouldn't take a chance or even take a second.
No, you wouldn't risk it.
Right. But the problem is that the one guy that hasn't been a problem this year on the offensive side of the football for the Cleveland Browns has been Nick Chubb.
He's been their bright spot. Absolutely.
Right. So I have a hard time imagining the one positive that you've seen on the offensive side of the football that you decide to go ahead and start giving somebody else carries and touches and take away from the one guy that's been great on that side of the football for you this year. But then again, that is a Cleveland Browns type thing to do.
Yeah, it would be very Brownsish to do that. So I wouldn't put it past them. I don't think that you take the risk. Thanks, Blaine. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Blaine. You gotta say, love you all too, man. Love you, Blaine. Good to see you, buddy. But continue.
Yes, I don't think you take the risk on that player to just not have him start, to just not see what he can do to open up the backfield there. Honestly, I am playing one of the main guys in my Dynasty League that is just killing it. He is 7-0, and it is killing us all inside because this is the guy we never want to win. He has Nick Chubb, and he's killing it for him. So I hope Kareem Hunt goes in there and just tears a new one into all of his carries and shares. I hope he does.
Don't do that, Sam. Don't do that. You don't want to be one of those spiteful people that is just
I'm not spiteful. I don't wish anyone to get hurt. That is not how I play the game. I just hope that people get fed the ball that I want get fed the ball.
I'm trying to more so take it as a different approach where I'm trying to analyze.
You're being logical, and I've got emotions behind it.
There we go. You're being emotional. I'm being logical, or I'm trying to be logical. And logically, Nick Chubb's having a great season in spite of what's going on in Cleveland right now, which is there's a bunch of they're trying to figure out an identity and who they are.
They're trying to figure out identity on offense and also to see how many fines Odell Beckham can get.
Well, that too. Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, I think that he was the reason why there was such a big push behind, the Browns are going to be, Super Bowl contenders this year because they went and traded for a guy who we all think is a top 5 talent at wide receiver. And they signed Kareem Hunt, who led the league in rushing to go along with Nick Chubb. Yeah. The problem is there's no identity on this team through the first 6 games of the season for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
So I don't expect that to change once Kareem Hunt gets thrown into the mix.
No, I think it's just going to be even more of a confusion as to who the guy is. And I think that with a lot of the players on this team, Odell Beckham Jr., you've got some big personalities there too. So they're going to start to kind of moan and complain about getting the ball and getting those opportunities. Nick, thank you for another question. And because we're kind of ranting a little bit with some emotions here, this is a great question. Who is the most incompetent coach in the league? Matt Nagy, Freddie Kitchens, Adam Gase, or Jay Gruden, even though he's gone now? I wouldn't say Jay Gruden was incompetent. I don't think he was given what he needed to win.
Oh, horse shit.
I mean, I think that he was just dealt a horrible hand. He was dealt a horrible team, said, go coach this horrible team. And then he did his best. He did his best with what he was given.
Seasons, he sucked. Like, the Washington Redskins were not a very good football team ever at any given point. In fact, he played hardball with the one guy that was worth a shit, and Kirk Cousins.
You're getting red.
You're right. I'm getting bright red, and it has nothing to do with my lighting that apparently sucks ass. But point is that I disagree with you. We've seen enough of Jay Gruden.
Fine. Okay. Is he the worst then in this list? Most incompetent in this list to you?
I'm going to go. I know that. So, first off, Adam Gase just started over there in New York, right? Mm-hmm. And he had his starting quarterback, which he damn near beat the Buffalo Bills, who are 5-1 on the season, and everybody seems to be all hyped up about. He damn near beat them in week 1 of the season. And that was with Sam Darnold. And then the second time he got Sam Darnold back as his starting quarterback, he beat the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you had Luke Falk and Trevor Siemian, to bridge the gap. Of course they sucked ass. No offense to Trevor Siemian and Luke Falk. They're professional athletes and making a hell of a lot more money than I am. But the point being is that, Sam Darnold is the franchise quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know he just got his ass handed to him against the New England Patriots, which the New England Patriots defense can do that to a lot of people.
They're handing everyone their own asses.
Right, this season. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is that I'm not trying to judge Adam Gase quite yet in his New York tenure. Now, you can definitely make your, assumptions or say, oh, well, he was terrible with the Bears and he was terrible with the Dolphins. Like, you can do that if you want. If you want to bring that up, that's fine. But I'm saying this year, right now, to me, it's Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is the most incompetent coach.
Yeah.
Because, can you answer me this question? How in the sand hell, with a quarterback that is wearing a brace on his left shoulder, right? Correct? Am I not right?
That one.
Playing the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
He's got a brace on his left shoulder. He decides to throw the ball 54 freaking times and give David Montgomery, who is a very good running back / football player.
He's good at football.
2 carries. 1 carry in the first half. That was equal to what he gave a freaking wide receiver in Anthony Miller.
I'm not really sure where your question was with this. You started this off with, can you answer me this? That was a lot.
I'm sorry. You hit a nerve there because
I did.
Well, Matt Nagy, I'm just saying Matt Nagy has an all-world defense. Like the Chicago Bears have a ton of talent on the defensive side of the football. They return their entire offensive line. Allen Robinson, by the way, looks like the Allen Robinson of 2015. The guy that put up 1,400, 14 touchdowns, and 80 receptions. He looks like that guy. And he's still producing regardless of the ineptitude of who's under center for the Bears with Mitchell Trubisky or Chase Daniel.
Yeah. But I have to agree with you that it has to be Matt Nagy, just because the Bears are sitting at 3-3, and they shouldn't be, because they have a talented offense.
It's a great line. Thank you so much, Nick Bird. You are my new favorite commenter and watcher of the show. Thank you.
He says, I know I need to run the ball. I'm not an idiot. And still doesn't run it, as if he's not the one who can control that. I don't know what the players are going to do.
That is gold.
It is. You have an amazing young talent in David Montgomery, and you don't give him the ball. Especially when your quarterback is not at 100%. And the best option for you.
Before he got hurt.
Yeah, he was. Sure. Yeah. But, your best option is to then run the ball. Use your runners. Use your backfield. That's what they're for. They're that support. And we all want to see Montgomery do the Montgomery things we know he can do. That's why we drafted him where we did. So it's even more disappointing that some people took Montgomery in 2nd and 3rd round and they're not going to see anything out of him.
Now, I'll admit that when looking at the Bears offense, and again, this is why I'm contributing this to coaching, though, Sam. And if I'm saying who's the most incompetent coach, it's because if you were to ask me who has the best roster that could potentially on paper,
Mm-hmm.
compete for a Super Bowl this season heading into the year? Was it the Chicago Bears, the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets, or the Washington Redskins? For me, the list on the top of that list is by far the Chicago Bears. Now, you can make an argument for the Cleveland Browns.
Sure.
But for me, it's easily the Chicago Bears because you knew you had an all-world defense.
An all-world defense, and you had amazing weapons. Both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball, they had the most opportunity to be better than what they are being.
Right.
Yeah. I'm in complete agreement with you on that one. So, Nick, to answer that question, we believe the most incompetent coach of the league is Matt Nagy. We can say that confidently.
Or that I'm a hell of a salesman because, Jay Gruden sucks too. So does Freddie Kitchens. And Adam Gase isn't much better. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, quite a lineup you picked there. But they're all pretty terrible. So if you guys have any more questions
they're all equally worthless. So
to end on a positive note, Tate, do you have a final debate for us to end the show with this week?
So, final debate. Today I was going out to get something to eat, and I had this choice between sweet potato fries, French fries, or truffle tater tots.
Ooh.
And I'm just wondering, is there a crowd out there that actually prefers fries over tater tots? Because I am a huge advocate of tater tots being by far the best side of all time. Like, I mean, you can say maybe cheese fries, but you can also do cheesy tots. You can do cheese and bacon on top of those tots. So I'm going as tots being my top number one side of all time. And
top number one side of all time.
Yeah. I mean, like, as far as like, if you're trying to go in, like, I'm having a good time. I'm not trying to watch my diet. I'm not trying to compete in a fitness competition where apparently this is just from the shirt, has nothing to do with the actual meat on the bone there, Sam. A little golf ball in my arm. I know. Congratulations. Well done. You're doing a good job, Sam.
Okay, so if you're not on the diet and trying to win fitness things, your favorite side is tater tots, hands down?
Tots has nothing to do with the fact that my last name is in the midst of the first word.
I was going to say, it makes it sound like you're a bit biased. Tater tots is a side. I love tater tots. If they're on a menu, I will always order them. Hands down. I will always order tots if they're available. And what's awesome is when you can get sweet potato tots, and they come with awesome side dipping sauce because they're equally crunchy and crispy and sweet. Okay. Love the sweet potato tater tots. Those are really good. Another side that I prefer. I'm going to go, maybe it's because California and you can always order it on the side of everything. Guacamole.
That's your favorite all-time side is guacamole.
Okay. I really like.
Grow up.
I really like avocado. It's delicious. You can put it with everything. You can just eat it on its own. It's so good.
I'm disappointed in you.
Nick Bird commenting with his favorite, better than all of them, is fried okra.
Ooh, a little fried okra is not bad. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And I mean, Blaine Wheeler did say earlier in the show that I am the tits, and he said you're still the tits, and I appreciate that. Thank you. They're not in frame, but I mean they're still there. That's right, my friend.
Wait. I got one. Wait. Sweet potato casserole is greater than tater tots is greater than sweet potato fries is greater than fries.
So what goes in a sweet potato casserole?
Sweet potatoes.
Well, I know. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. I'm just saying, like, what else is instituted in the midst of a casserole?
I don't know. Usually, like, some sort of a liquidy thing and then other shit.
I need details. I need a recipe.
Cheese and stuff in a casserole. There's a bunch of extra stuff that adds to the flavor. Okay, back to a football question.
Let's move on to a fantasy question. Because you don't have the answer to a sweet potato casserole ingredient.
I don't have a recipe in front of me. I'm not that kind of woman.
Raymar Saludo.
Nailed it.
Fuck off. I just
You're not allowed to curse on this show. I'm the one. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the one that always has to get the talk. Before we go live, Sam, you are not allowed to drop the F-bomb.
You know what?
Do you remember? Do you remember? Get them out now before we hit the go live.
On our previous broadcast, I didn't bring attention to it by saying I'm the one that always gets the talk to saying not to say the F-bomb. And continue. Let's answer the question. Mike Williams or Larry Fitzgerald this week?
Mike Williams is just not behaving the way we want him to behave, is he? The Chargers offense is becoming something that every week I look at because I have Mike Williams on a couple teams, and it's getting more and more frustrating. So for me, I'm going to just go with Larry Fitzgerald because at least I know he's not going to be a headache to me, and he's going to get me some sort of floor of points, and I don't have to just worry about him getting a single catch.
Okay. I mean, for me, I'm going with Mike Williams as well. I mean, we didn't see any – Christian Kirk was out against the New York Giants, and we saw Larry Fitzgerald – he wasn't even on the field for a multitude of snaps. I mean, I know that it was a weird game because there was a ton of rain, and they ended up giving the ball to Chase Edmonds a ton.
It was wet.
It was really wet. It was moist out. It was really moist. It was a moist out.
What is wrong with people that don't like that word?
I don't understand what the hell the big deal is about the word moist. Why do people automatically go to their mind going to a bad place?
It's just a word.
Correct. You know what it is? It's wet or damp or moisture conditions. That's what the definition of the word is. Point is, when it comes to Mike Williams or Larry Fitzgerald, Mike Williams at least has some big play capability, and Larry Fitzgerald right now isn't even seeing the field in specific situations or formations. For me, it's Mike Williams in a landslide.
I mean, I guess I can understand that, but that's off of one game. Consistently, outside of that game, Larry Fitzgerald has a minimum of 5 receptions. Minimum of 5 receptions.
I understand.
And
I do understand.
Williams' minimum receptions has been 2. And he's been bouncing all over the place between 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 6 against Denver. That was it. And he's going against Chicago that actually has a good defense. We're going back to talking about their good defense. I'm going to go with Larry Fitzgerald, and he's going to have a bounce-back week, and he's going to show you guys why he is the man that has found the fountain of youth and continues to play beyond his age.
I saw some red flags when it came to his involvement this week. That's the only thing that scares me.
It was wet out. It was raining. I don't want him twisting an ankle. Don't run down the field, Larry. Stay on the bench. It's going to be fine. We'll run the ball.
Yeah, feels real good. What if it rains again this week?
Can't control the weather. I mean, no, it's going to be fine.
Go back! All right. Come to North Carolina, go to JD's Smokehouse. Very specific orders.
Ooh,
just like anywhere in North Carolina, or do we have to go to a specific city and order the sweet potato crunch? Life will be changed.
Ooh, a name like that.
I'm all for a good feed or food options. So thank you for Snickbird.
And I'm all about just binge eating on an off day. Give it to me. Yeah. Carbs. Just load them up. Absolutely.
Call them Benji for a reason. Now, speaking of which, we've covered a lot of topics today. That's going to go ahead and wrap us up for this episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate. Again, if this is your first time joining us here on the YouTube channel, go ahead and punch the subscribe button as well as the like button. We really do appreciate any and all support. Sam, I know that we've gotten maybe a comment or two right before we sign off, but are there any closing thoughts that you have? I gave us a final debate topic. Do you have anything, or do you even have a damn sign-off line yet?
I still don't have a sign-off line, but what I can do is say, if you guys enjoyed us or have any other questions for us, please go ahead and follow us on all things social. We will get to all of your questions as best we can. Derek is at dtater4 on all methods of social media. On Twitter, I am at Samantha R. Holt, and on Instagram, I am at Sam_awesome. So go ahead and ask us anything you'd like. We'd love to keep up with all your questions for week 8, help you set those lineups. And also, as the weekend folds out, get us some questions online and we'll answer them at next week's show. Not a problem for you.
Absolutely. And also, if you have not yet done so, sometimes it is Sam that's going to be joining us on the Fantasy Focus live show that takes place every 11 a.m. Sunday morning, answering any and all of your fantasy questions heading into that Sunday's worth of NFL action. Will Jenkins, Nick Bird, Blaine Wheeler, Ryan, anybody else that joined us for today's show, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, here's my sign-off line. Later, says the Tater.
See you next week.